Welcome to the Bitcoin Source podcast, the ultimate destination for all things Bitcoin. Today we have an exceptional guest with us, Desiree Dickerson, the CEO and co-founder at THNDR Games. With a remarkable background in management consulting and operations, we're excited to explore Desiree's insight and perspectives on Bitcoin and its intersection with the gaming industry. Welcome, Desiree.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Definitely excited to be here.
Hey there, fellow Bitcoin enthusiasts. We just wanted to take a moment to appreciate you for tuning in to the Bitcoin Source, a Bitcoin conversation. Your support means the world to us as we dive into the exciting world of Bitcoin, blockchain, and all things cryptocurrency. If you've been enjoying our content, don't forget to hit that like button. It's like a virtual high five that keeps us motivated. And hey, sharing is caring. If you know someone who'd geek out over Bitcoin as much as we do, hit that share button. Finally, if you want to stay up to date with all our latest episodes and insights, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss a single update. Thanks for being a part of our community. Keep exploring, and remember, the future is decentralized. Now back to the episode.
So Desiree, I want to get things started by kind of talking about THNDR Games and how you've kind of immersed yourself into the Bitcoin ecosystem. So of course, Bitcoin and the gaming industry are these two rapidly evolving, innovative spaces. Could you share how you envision the synergy between these two realms and the unique opportunity that arise from combining Bitcoin and gaming?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I formerly worked at Lightning Labs for a while before coming here to THNDR. And at Lightning, a lot of the mission when I was there was to bring Bitcoin to the next billion people. And at the end of the day, not a lot of people care about Bitcoin as much as we love it. We live, die, eat, breathe Bitcoin. It's not the same for everyone. And, we all find the concept of sound money, a store of value to be incredibly compelling, but not the rest of the world thinks in that way. And it's not going to necessarily kind of be the trigger for them to onboard onto Bitcoin and to learn about Lightning and just get started with the tech. So one thing when we were there, I was kind of thinking about was like, what type of use cases kind of open up new possibilities for bringing Bitcoin to new users, new demographics, and just new people throughout the world. And gaming really came to mind as like one of the most logical on-ramps to Bitcoin. And one, very much selfishly, because I love gaming. I grew up gaming with my dad. I still game to this day, not as much as I wish I did, but it has always been a passion of mine, but also because, I've just always been familiar with the concept of using gaming or just the concept of fun for introducing people to new technologies. So if you look at, everyone's familiar with Solitaire on on Windows, and that was put on there to teach new users how to use an operating system for the first time, how to actually use a mouse for the first time, because people were not familiar with a personal computer. So Solitaire was a really good on-ramp. Similarly with Snake and, like the OG IKEA, Snake is a great way, to get people familiar with like using the technology of a mobile phone. So it was kind of that really interesting intersection that I was like, hey, if we can make Bitcoin fun, we can make it feel safe, and we can make it feel incredibly familiar because everyone's played a mobile game before. I was like, I think this is a really wonderful way for onboarding people to Bitcoin. And, that's a really big part of who we are at THNDR. That's why I'm interested in this space, but it's a part of our identity at THNDR. And, we're very proud to say that, 80% of our users are totally new to Bitcoin. So these are people who've just organically found us through the App Store and Google Play or on social media and are just like trying to play games, and they see, I can win Bitcoin, I might as well try. And so we're able to onboard all these new users. It's really, really powerful.
Yeah, and that kind of gives me some nostalgia too, because, me being a millennial, I remember playing Snake on like my old school Nokia like feature phone. So it's just cool to see that those games that I played in high school and stuff are now allowing people to gain and earn some Satoshi. So you can't complain about that. So hopefully we'll get more people to onboard into THNDR Games. Like, I just think that you're doing such an instrumental thing for the industry because you're so unorthodox. A lot of people don't like expect you or see you coming a lot of times. When people like say, oh, I have Thunder Games, I've made this amount of Satoshis, and then no one really knows who the founder is, and they're like, oh, it's Desiree. We've seen her at Bitcoin conferences, we know who she is, but you're humble. Like, you don't really show off that like you're this big like founder of this huge company. So it's always cool to hear that and see that, you know.
Oh, well, thank you. I am from the Midwest, so I think it's just part of my DNA, but also I think, and this is very much Thunder, and I have amazing co-founders as well. Jack Everett was like the original founder. This is his brainchild, and we met in VR back in the pandemic, and I learned about what he was building. We became really good friends, and then I hopped on board to kind of like grow this thing from just like game, to a lot more. But I think the team is really passionate about like putting out product. It's like very easy to, pay a few $1,000s for press releases, go on stage, make really big claims. But I think there's a lot more to be said about a team that puts out product that has users and is generating revenue. And like, I'm really proud to say, I'm not so humble about that because, it's not me, it's the team. And, I think that's why you don't see us and why we're not so loud, because we like our product to do the talking for us.
Yeah, can't complain about that for sure. So Desiree, could you share like some examples of how Thunder Games is kind of using Bitcoin to enable players to truly own their in-game assets and have more control over their gaming experience?
Yeah, we're really focused on mobile games, specifically hyper casual and more recently casual games. And, I think it's a really great way to just like get people started by adding it as what I call a micro incentive Bitcoin reward. So when you play a game, there's all sorts of incentives for playing, and there's so many different kind of frameworks for gamer types or user types or user personas, and whether people are like, oh, you're just playing for the sake of playing, like everybody's playing for a different reason. For me, I love like creating an avatar and creating an identity and a personality. There's people who love the social aspect. There's people who love the competitive aspect of it, which is not me at all. And so someone is always coming to gaming and getting something out of it. But is there a way that we can like sweeten the pot? And that's what we're really doing with these micro Bitcoin rewards. I think we were really lucky to kind of be early on and be kind of involved or, somewhat grouped with this whole play to earn movement that happened with Axie Infinity. It's really died out. And I'm really glad we didn't go that route because, at the end of the day, we want to make games that are world-class games that are fun to play on their own. It's just that Bitcoin makes them a little bit better. So if you come and you play our games, you're going to play one of the best solitaire games. Like I really am quite humble, but I will tell you, I've played a lot of solitaire games, and ours is probably one of the best and in terms of user experience. But what's even better is that you get these micro incentive rewards. And what's really powerful about these rewards is not only like, oh, hey, cool, I'm a user, I'm, playing, and instead of getting like pointless currency that has no value in the real world, I'm getting Bitcoin. What's even more powerful is for developers, for the mobile gaming space, all of these privacy and like transparency changes that have happened in the App Store and Google Play have really impacted mobile games developers because it's really difficult for them to monetize mobile games. But when you add these micro incentive rewards to your games, and we're talking a sat, 40 sats, max, a few thousand sats, like you're able to encourage long-term retention in your games. So really adding these rewards drives your LTV. If people are in your games longer, think about it, they're interacting with more ads, they're more likely buying things in the game, and they're therefore a more valuable user. And you're able to do this with literally micro rewards. So we're talking thousandths of a penny. So it really is like a very compelling way for game studios to monetize their user base.
How do you view the potential of blockchain technology and NFTs in revolutionizing the way that the gaming industry is developed, played, and monetized? Of course, we've seen so many different things from ordinals to now the drivetrain conversation. So I just wanted to hear your insight, Desiree, your approach to gaming and like the NFT space.
It's hard to say. I will say that our user base historically has not been incredibly interested in NFTs. I think that most folks are interested in them for speculation purposes. And for us, it's just, there's not enough interest. There's the like it doesn't work for our games right now. I don't want to say that it's not possible or like someone can't do it well. Like I just haven't seen it done well before. And I think it's great. People can get a lot of users that way. You'll have like 500,000 people in your Discord if you say you're, having these NFTs or airdrops or what have you. And I think it's a great way for building a community, but like those individuals don't tend to stay around unless they're making money on a long-term basis. And I think you can kind of see that on the horizon for most of those projects. But I think ordinals are really cool. I know there's a lot of debate. I haven't really like formed like a very strong opinion about how I think about them. I've made my own ordinal of my co-founder Jack to troll him, and I think there's a lot of potential there. For us, like I'd love to experiment with ordinals. Like I think what DZ is doing is really cool. But we're a very small team, and we only have so much time. So our user base is interested in some other things. So we're trying to kind of meet those demands. But I think that there's a lot of potential. I'm a collector. Like I collect miniatures. I still have my Pokemon cards. Like I would love to collect things from THNDR Games, but it just doesn't meet our business model right now. But I think the sky's the limit. I love to see people experiment as long as it's like not malicious. Like I don't see any harm in people like throwing in NFTs and ordinals, and I've been trying to follow the drive chain stuff, but that's just like too much drama for me right now. So
Yeah, Bitcoin could be a crazy place, man, when you really start to fall on this rabbit hole of like different innovations and people wanting to tinker with things and break things and rebuild things. And there's always like different crowds and different temperaments as far as people's seriousness about Bitcoin. But I kind of wanted to get into the gaming industry and like the diversity that it brings. Shout out to my homegirl Maria Moswin. When I met her and interviewed her, she was actually my first interview for this podcast. She was always talking about gaming. She was always talking about Twitch, streaming, trying to find ways to be more innovative and gaining some Satoshi. So, of course, we have a range from the casual player to the hardcore enthusiast. How do you approach designing these experiences that cater to this range of users while incorporating the benefits and principles of Bitcoin?
yeah, I think that's a very great question, which also shout out to Mary. Absolutely love her. She's a big part of Team Thunder. I'm very blessed to get to spend a lot of time with her. But in terms of just like, I don't know, I guess the general question was around, like meeting users and crafting our games for users. I think we try and make our games like widely applicable to everyone. If you look at the mobile gaming industry, around like 51% of mobile gamers are actually women. And most of those women err on like an older end of the age spectrum. And so, I think for me, that is also just coincidentally a demographic that's historically underserved when it comes to, new types of asset classes and, potential for saving. So for me, it's just like this really beautiful overlap of like, we can use these games that women who are just generally interested in, and we can use it to expose them to Bitcoin and introduce them to this new whole new world of finance, which they never knew existed before. And I love that we do that. We have tons of grandmas, tons of moms who play our games. Like I, get accounts of moms who are breastfeeding that are like, I love playing your games while I'm breastfeeding. And I'm like, you are literally stacking sats while you're feeding your baby, and I'm here for that. And so I think, that's really important. So that's a demographic that, we think about, and I think about Very much. And then also it's just emerging markets as well, because mobile is kind of one of the only ways that a lot of like developing regions, emerging markets are able to access gaming. When you think about the majority of the world, it's like paying $500-$600 for a gaming console is just unheard of. Paying thousands for a gaming PC is just, it's just not tenable. So mobile has really been like the first way for them to access, gaming. And it's not like mobile games are any worse or that much worse than like console gaming now. You see these like full full force like platformers on a mobile device, which is incredible. You see the reception of like Free Fire in Latin America. And so I think it's also, that's who we also want to bring our games to, because again, those are user bases that are historically underserved when it comes to just financial access in general, and just exposure to new tech and especially new fintech. So I think our games can like really help us reach these two demographics, and those are the two that like I'm really kind of always thinking about.
Yes, thank you for expounding on that, Desiree. And I just think that it's going to be super helpful down the road because, I didn't even know that a lot of older women are really big into the gaming industry. And I think that having a woman at the helm and having great people on your team, such as Mary, that we mentioned earlier, is going to really be helpful as this company grows down the road, as your user base kind of grows with Thunder Games. I think if a lot of those people are women, I think that it's really going to help you and make them feel more comfortable to see a woman kind of at the helm. So that's great insight. Thankful to hear that women are actually doing that and getting a voice in this space, because traditionally you just see a lot of males in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I think that your company is kind of changing that narrative.
Yeah, I love that. We have a very diverse team, and you know, that's kind of always happened organically, but I think that, kind of leads to us building like the best products. And I mean, our users are just, they're all over the world. Everyone has like, I've recently, we did a survey and I was surprised we do have like a younger contingent of players, like 18 to 24, which I was like, never thought, but they're just not super vocal. Whereas, I have like grandmas in my, DMs being like, I don't like this and you need to change it immediately, Desiree, which is a lot of pressure because I'm like, I feel like this is like, my sacred, fellow women telling me like, Desiree, you're disappointing me. So I feel like I have to like get on it. But yeah, I guess the younger ones just aren't as vocal, but they're definitely playing. So yeah.
Yes. And as the CEO of Thunder Games, of course, you're at the forefront of integrating Bitcoin into the gaming experience and getting that feedback from people. I'm sure is super insightful and helpful for you to kind of build out this model to be the best gaming, Bitcoin platform in the world. Of course, you have Zebedee and you have some of these other platforms, but I always found that Thunder Games was pretty unique. So how do you navigate as a female CEO in a male dominated industry? And what are some of the key aspects of your platform that showcase a potential for this kind of fusion?
Um, to answer the first question, I don't find it to be I mean, I don't know. I've never been a man in a male dominated industry, so I don't really know what it feels like. But I would say everyone is always like very accepting. Same with the gaming space. Like everyone's, just always welcome me with open arms. Like I'm very aware that like other people don't have have had negative experiences, but for me, I have just so many amazing like fellow founders in the Bitcoin space who, I was chatting on Friday, late on Friday, with Graham from Voltage, and I was getting some advice from him. And there's just so many amazing people in Bitcoin. So it's been really nice. I would say our team does have more men on it than women, but Mary is here, and we've had some like a lot of like female designers in the past, but I would say I don't know, like our team at least, like everyone has sisters and wives and daughters, and so it's like a very female centric space. And I do get the comment from the guys on the team a lot that sometimes I have more testosterone than all of them combined. So I think maybe like that aggressiveness is helpful. But yeah, it's been a really positive experience so far, and I think people are very respectful, and I think I just hope that I do feel like having me as the CEO like helps the team like kind of open up and be really vulnerable, which I think is something that's really different about this team. Like we have, a set of core values like everyone, but like our two main core values are brave like hell and love. And our team just all is always, it's like a family. Everyone tells each other they love each other. And I will say, like, we've never had any interpersonal problems, any team problems. And, I wonder if that has something to do with like a female approach to team building. I have no idea because I don't know any other approach. So, but it's really interesting. So I've enjoyed my experience so far.
Thank you. That's awesome, and I'm glad to hear that. There's so many companies out there, and culture is super important. And I think that if you can build a synergy around culture at your job or at your business that you own, I think that that's gold. That's money in the bank right there. Because once you can do that, you can master any other issues that you have, and you can provide solutions to your clients. So I'm just grateful and thankful for you, Desiree, because little do you know, like you're actually a part of history, right? Like Bitcoin is this paradigm shifting thing, and it's been so male dominated, and just to have a female CEO founder doing something that people truly enjoy, which is gaming, I think 10, 20 years down the road, your name will be etched into the statues of the Bitcoin ecosystem. No, I'm serious, because there's just not that many out there. So, I just want you to keep pressing on, keep continuing to create great games, great user experience for people out there. And I think that, your destiny is already kind of laser etched into history. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. That's so sweet. Let's see. Let's hope that's how it all happens. Like, I think it'll be a collectively etched into history because, like, there's no way we can make this thing happen without the entire community and everybody who's working in this space. So,
Thunder Games, of course, we know has been pioneering this convergence of gaming and Bitcoin. We talked about this throughout the whole episode. What are your future endeavors? Like, do you have any developments or projects that you might be looking forward to that you want to share with the world before we go?
yeah, so one that's actually coming out tomorrow, which your users will already be able to, or your listeners will already be able to check out, is a PvP style or PvP feature in our games. So one of the things that we hear the most, even more like than a need or a desire for NFTs, is a way to compete with other people in the games, which you wouldn't typically think, but competitive solitaire, competitive cards, like is definitely a thing. It's not a me thing, but it is a huge, huge genre. So that is what we've actually been working on for the past few months. We have a PvP mode in the games that are launching tomorrow. It's called Duels, and you can go. It's first going to be available in solitaire, so you can go to solitaire, click in the bottom left-hand corner, and you'll be matched with someone. And you are being matched with a real human. There are no bots whatsoever. So like, fingers crossed, we have enough player liquidity. I think we will. But and then you can directly compete with other people in the community, and you compete for bolts, which is like the little in-game currency that you kind of wager in the game, so you can kind of bet against each other, and then you win XP. And the more XP you have, you level up, and there will be a lot of fun XP like leveling perks announced in the future. But that's kind of my tip, is to just like get in there and earn as much XP as possible. You actually earn XP even if you don't win the match. So it's just like your experience in the game. So I'm really, really excited for this feature. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then Later this quarter or later next quarter, we have like a really, really big announcement coming up. So maybe we can join you again. Like we'll get, maybe we can do a thing with Mary or something and chat about that announcement. But that's kind of like our big, spicy, fun thing coming up. But everyone should check out Duels while they're waiting.
Desiree, this conversation has been awesome. Thank you for taking time to be on your Labor Day to have this conversation. But this was one of the ones in the queue that I needed to have. Like, I have a lot of Bitcoiners I've talked to, and my podcast is really big about diversity, talking to women, empowering people, and having like a different approach to Bitcoin where you don't just see the typical 10 people. Like, you have a wide array of people that are building in this space. And of course, you're one of those people. So thank you, Desiree, for taking time out to be on the Bitcoin Source. And before you go, just give people your social media handles and also where they can find THNDR Games, the website, stuff like that.
Awesome. Yeah, if you go to THNDR.games, so THNDR.games, so it's Thunder with no vowels. You can follow us on Twitter at THNDR Games, all one word. Again, no vowels in Thunder. And you can find our Discord there. You can follow me, or just if you need to talk to me or you have a question, DM me. My Twitter handle is at Dickerson_Des. So just shoot me a message.
Thank you, Desiree, once again for being on the Bitcoin Source, a Bitcoin conversation. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.